Hello, I'm Jim Kochan and I'm the CEO of Vitesse Solutions. We're a small organization, but we do big things. The main focus of our knowledge management model focuses around collaborative communities, supported by a real strong content management process. We buffet it with really strong technology, but it's the process that we're trying to build. Businesses are facing ever-increasing issues, problems, and challenges, most of which come from the financial end and the competitive end. Knowledge sharing has become paramount in the last several years. Maybe 20 years ago, knowledge sharing was a luxury. Today, it is an essential part of running a business. It's the way of the future. People talk about things like the big crew change, where large numbers of people are retiring. There's a lot of young people coming into organizations. With every successive generation, people are more and more technically sound. Organizations, if they want to compete today and in the future, have to be able to provide an environment in which people can operate in a very dynamic and a very strong sharing environment. Vitesse Solutions has a lot of expertise. We have a lot of people in our organization who have come from very large organizations, people who have run large consulting practices, global consulting practices, people with deep experience, people with deep technical experience in areas like SharePoint and other technologies. We bring these people to bear in a model that we call the Vitesse Solutions model. Certain individuals that we have on our team were some of the pioneers in knowledge sharing and creating collaborative communities. One thing that we've learned over time is that people are more comfortable working in silos, working with the 3 or 4 people that they're most comfortable with that are in their own work locations. But it's more profitable and far more valuable for an organization to bring expertise from around the world to bear on all of the major problems. We all have supervisors, we've all had bosses, we've all worked with executives over time, and if we want to get their attention, we have to be able to get their sponsorship, we have to be able to present them with some sort of a business case or a value proposition. With goals and milestones and people collaborating, people with having roles and responsibilities around a business case that is supported by sponsors starts to create trust, trusted relationships, trust between individuals and the process. What motivates people to join a community and to collaborate in a community is the idea that they are going to get some sort of benefit from that. And we would call that recognition and rewards. What is the cost? When we talk about knowledge sharing and knowledge management, what is the cost? Well, there's a cost for not sharing. There's a cost for not doing anything. When we implement a knowledge sharing project, the first thing people ask is, how much this time is it going to take? What do people have time for? People have time to write an email to 25 people and look up all 25 people's names and then ask that question and then wait for a reply. They have time to get on a telephone and ask a question. They have time to answer the telephone and respond to a question and get on the internet and do some research. They have time to get up from their desk and go down the hall and get into a conference room and discuss a problem with somebody. But the problem is that there's no sustainability to that process. If somebody goes down the hall or answers the phone or picks up an email, the question may be answered, and it may be answered well. It probably won't be the perfect answer, and it probably won't be the optimal answer that that person could get from that lies within that organization. It's taken a lot of time, and once that question is asked and answered, it more or less dies in that system. There's no retainability, there's no sustainability. There's no way to store or retain something in an email, in a discussion, or in a phone call unless somebody wants to put it down on paper or record it and put it on their hard drive. It's very inefficient. So when people say, I don't have time for knowledge sharing to get on a portal and ask a question, what they're really saying is, I don't see the value. Now, what's the alternative? The alternative is to go to a place where it is sustainable. All of the negatives that we've just discussed here can be turned into positives. You can't sustain a phone call conversation unless you take some notes, put it in a drawer, etc. And it's hard to sustain an email. Sure, you can forward the emails to people, but we all get a lot of emails. Emails stack up, they get old, and they tend to fade away. But if you have a discussion forum that's monitored, that's managed, and discussions are closed out, and the nuggets from the discussions are saved as documents and things like that, when that discussion comes to maybe a debate, and closure with some subject matter experts who are viewing the discussion, you have a higher chance of the optimal solution. Everybody who didn't even ask the question or were not involved in the discussion at all, but were reading, learned something. They may have had the question but never posed the question, but everybody's learning and raising up to the best practice. And now it's sustainable, because now when the question is completed, there's some place to put it. It's put in a home that everybody goes to. People can research, find out that that question was asked last year or was last asked 2 years ago. And one of the great pieces are, the collaboration may have occurred between individuals who are highly experienced, but they may be in their last year before retirement. And 2 years later, somebody who was in college when the question was first posed can now join the organization, come in, and reap the benefits of an individual who served that company for 35 or 40 years, answered a question 2 years previous, and somebody who was in college when that question was originally answered pick up and get the answer from Joe Smith or Sally Brown and get their expertise in context. You can't do that with email. You can't do that with a telephone. You can't do that by walking down the hall. Vitesse Solutions was founded in 2004. I was the founder, and I founded it based on a model that I really believed in. It had been developed over many years and been used in several different industries. We have a lot of expertise in our organization. We have, among our leadership, almost 80 years of combined expertise in the knowledge management process. Our technology people, our SharePoint team, not only understand SharePoint, but they also understand SharePoint in terms of how it dovetails into our overall knowledge sharing model. The processes that we use are tested over time. They're tested through our own learnings and best practices. We know as much about things that don't work as we know about things that do work. And I think anybody who's experienced can appreciate the idea of understanding what doesn't work. Our model, again, is something we feel is world class. It's used by some of the giants of the industry, and those who are the first and the early adopters and the best at this process will be the leaders in their industry. We see that in the oil and gas industry. We see that in the consulting industry. We see it in manufacturing. We're starting to see it in areas like insurance and banking. We're even seeing it in the military and the government, areas of the military and the Navy and the Army, using knowledge sharing techniques to improve the operations of what these organizations bring to the world, what they bring to the marketplace. Now, the clients that we've had have been in most every continent. So we're a small company, but we do big things and we work for big organizations. Those organizations now have world-class knowledge sharing capabilities.